They're here. Cthulhu's voice, usually a calm thrum, was a raw screech tearing through the bridge. Alarms blared, a discordant symphony of approaching doom. Commander Vurix, his scales bristling with primal fear, slammed a massive fist onto the console. The holographic display shimmered, showing a swirling vortex of enemy ships, a nightmare rendered in crimson and black. Report. Vurix roared, his multi-jointed legs locking to keep him steady as the Steel Serpent shuddered under distant impacts. The bridge crew, a mix of seasoned warriors and fresh recruits from a dozen allied species, scrambled. Panic was a tangible thing, a cold sweat permeating the air. Their vanguard is breaking through the outer defense grid, Commander. Another officer, a slender Qatar, shrieked, his voice cracking. Multiple capital ships detected. They're not hailing, just firing. The Sakara have abandoned their post. Cthulhu choked, pointing a trembling digit at a blank sector on the display. They folded their jump drives and fled. Cowards. Vurix felt a surge of rage, hot and bitter. The Sakara, always quick to boast, even quicker to flee. This wasn't a skirmish. This was an extermination. The Excitos hegemony, a brutal, expansionist empire, had been systematically annexing systems for cycles, their advance unstoppable. Now, it was the coalition's turn to face the grinder. Hail the Human Federation. Vurix commanded, his voice surprisingly steady despite the tremor in his hands. Every channel. Tell them we are being overrun. Tell them. He paused, a dark, desperate thought forming. Tell them our shield generators are failing. Tell them this is a plea for any assistance. We are facing annihilation. Cthulhu's eyes widened. The Deathworlders, Commander. They're unpredictable. Their history is stained with interspecies conflict. They rarely engage in galactic politics beyond their borders. Unpredictable is better than predictable doom. Vurix snarled, turning to face the viewscreen as a colossal Excilos dreadnought emerged from the warp, its energy cannons charging with an ominous hum. The Steel Serpent was a patrol cruiser designed for reconnaissance, not a last stand against such a behemoth. We sent out the general distress beacon, didn't we? To all allied species, all neutral parties. They are the only ones who haven't responded with an apology or a refusal. This is our last hope, Cthulhu. Our only hope. A jolt ran through the ship, throwing several crew members from their stations. Sparks showered from damaged conduits. The Steel Serpent's primary shield flickered, then winked out, revealing the skeletal superstructure beneath. The bridge lights dimmed, casting long, grotesque shadows. Commander, their bombardment is intensifying. Cthulhu yelled over the din of screaming alarms. We're losing atmospheric integrity on decks 4 and 7. Evacuation protocols initiated for non-essential personnel. Vurix ignored him, his gaze fixed on the viewscreen. The Excilos dreadnought was closing, its formidable weaponry already spitting plasma at their exposed hull. He could feel the heat through the deck plating. The air grew thick with the smell of ozone and burning metal. He had faced death countless times, but never like this, never with the cold certainty of total eradication. His people, the Cthulhu, would be reduced to ash and memory. Then, a faint blip appeared on the long-range scanners, far outside the immediate engagement zone. It was a single contact, moving at an impossible velocity, accelerating beyond anything Vurix had ever witnessed. New contact. Cthulhu shouted, his voice a mix of terror and awe. Source, unknown. It's not Xylos. It's on an intercept course with the hegemony fleet. But it's only one ship. Vurix narrowed his eyes. One ship. Against an entire invasion fleet, it was suicide. Or madness. Human. Signatures detected. Cthulhu stammered, his voice barely a whisper. The vessel. Its human asterisk. A strange, sleek silhouette resolved on the main view screen. It was unlike any vessel Vurix had ever seen. No visible weaponry, no external thrusters, just a dark, impossibly smooth hull. It looked like a predator, silent and deadly, gliding through the void. A lethal vessel. They answered. Vurix breathed, a sliver of desperate hope piercing through the dread. The Deathworlders. They actually answered. He didn't know whether to feel relief or a fresh wave of terror. What would they do? What could they do? The silence from the human vessel was unnerving, more terrifying than any Thyl's battle roar. The human vessel didn't hail. It didn't broadcast warnings or demands. It simply, moved asterisk. The single ship, a needle-thin dart against the vast, dark tapestry of space, plunged directly into the heart of the Tylos formation. Vurix watched, mesmerized, as the Tylos fleet, caught entirely off guard by the sheer audacity of the maneuver, hesitated. They're not firing. Cthulhu shrieked, disbelief warring with terror in his voice. The humans, they're not even charging weapons. But the human ship didn't need to fire. As it threaded through the Tylos capital ships, something rippled out from its hull. Not a blast, not a beam, but a silent, shimmering distortion of space itself. The nearest Tylos destroyer, its shields still fully operational, buckled. Its hull groaned, a sound that somehow, impossibly, resonated through the vacuum of space, even to the steel serpent bridge. Then, with a deafening screech of tortured metal, the destroyer imploded It didn't explode. It didn't shatter. It simply crumpled in on itself, a monstrous, impossible collapse, until nothing remained but a shrinking, perfectly spherical void. A gasp rippled through the steel serpent bridge. Even Vurix, a veteran of 100 battles, felt his multi-jointed legs nearly give out. He had seen countless weapons, countless forms of destruction, but never anything like this. This wasn't combat. It was a brutal, silent erasure. What in the void was that asterisk? Cthulhu whispered, his scales paling to an ashen gray. His eyes were wide with a fear that transcended the immediate threat of the Tylos. This was the fear of the unknown, of a power that defied all logic and understanding. The human vessel continued its relentless trajectory, a silent harbinger of oblivion. Another Tylos cruiser, attempting to bring its formidable weaponry to bear, found itself caught in the same invisible ripple. Its heavy armor plating warped and twisted like cheap tinfoil, its internal structures collapsing in on themselves with horrifying speed. The ship, once a proud war machine, became a rapidly shrinking ball of compressed metal and dead light, then vanished. The Taxilos hegemony fleet, moments ago a disciplined, overwhelming force, descended into chaos. Their comm channels, previously filled with confident commands, erupted into a cacophony of panicked cries and desperate warnings. Ships broke formation, scattering like frightened prey. Their energy weapons, designed to tear apart star systems, fired wildly, some even hitting their own fleeing allies in their terror. They're retreating. A young Qatar officer screamed, pointing a trembling finger at the holographic display. The Taxilos are retreating. But they haven't even fired a shot back. Vurix watched the human vessel complete its devastating pass. It had carved a path of impossible destruction through the heart of the invasion fleet, leaving behind a trail of vanished ships and bewildered, terrified survivors. It then executed a perfect, silent pivot, turning to face the remaining Tylos forces. It didn't pursue, didn't press its advantage. It simply waited, a dark, motionless sentinel. The Taxilos fleet, broken and demoralized, didn't wait. They initiated emergency jump drives, ripping holes in space-time in their desperate haste to flee. Within moments, the vast armada that had threatened to extinguish the Cthulhu vanished, leaving behind only the shattered remains of a few minor support craft and the silent, imposing human ship. The alarms on the asterisk, Steel Serpent asterisk, faded to a low hum, then silence. The bridge lights flickered back to full intensity, illuminating the shell-shocked faces of the crew. Relief washed over them, but it was a cold, alien relief, tinged with a profound, unsettling dread. "Commander," Cathair stammered, his voice still hoarse, "the human vessel. It's hailing us." Vurix felt a tremor run through him. The Axilos hegemony, the terror of the galaxy, had been repelled by a single ship, without a single shot fired in traditional combat. Now, the entity that commanded such power was reaching out. He swallowed, the metallic taste of fear in his mouth. "Open a channel," Vurix commanded, his voice barely a whisper. On screen, full visual, the view screen flickered, resolving into a single pale face. It was undeniably human, but unlike the crude, grainy historical records Vurix had studied. This individual possessed an intensity that bordered on unnerving. Her eyes, the color of a stormy sky, held an almost predatory intelligence, yet they were devoid of malice. Her expression was neutral, unreadable, but the subtle set of her jaw spoke of immense self-control. "This is Commander Eris Thorn of the human vessel Vanguard *," the woman stated, her voice a low, resonant contralto that seemed to fill the Steel Serpent bridge without needing amplification. Her tone was calm, almost deceptively so, considering the unimaginable destruction she had just wrought. "You sent a distress call. We responded. The immediate threat has been neutralized." Vurix stared, speechless for a moment. Neutralized. She spoke of the utter obliteration of an entire Axilos Vanguard fleet as if she had merely swatted a bothersome insect. The sheer, terrifying casualness of it sent a chill down his spine. Cathair, always quick to recover, stepped forward. "Commander Thorn," he began, his voice still shaky, but regaining some of its usual formality. "We are Commander Vurix of the Cathair and Chief Tactical Officer, Cathair of the Coalition Patrol Cruiser Steel Serpent *. We are indebted to you. Your actions were unprecedented." A flicker, almost imperceptible, crossed Thorn's features. It might have been amusement, or perhaps a fleeting acknowledgement of their astonishment. "Our methods are efficient. Your distress call indicated imminent system collapse. We intervened." Intervened? Vurix finally found his voice, a raw rasp. "You erased them. Without a single energy discharge." What kind of weapon was that?" Thorn's gaze remained steady, unwavering. "It is not a weapon in the conventional sense. It is a refinement of spatial manipulation, a precise application of force to collapse localized spacetime. Highly efficient. Minimal collateral damage to the surrounding stellar environment." Minimal collateral damage. Vurix looked around his bridge, at the smoking consoles and terrified faces of his crew. Their ship was a wreck, but they were alive. The galaxy, however, had just witnessed a new, terrifying form of warfare. "The Axilos will return," Cathair interjected, a fresh wave of fear entering his voice. "They will bring a larger fleet. They will be seeking vengeance for this humiliation." Thorn's eyes narrowed fractionally. "Let them. They will find we are not so easily humiliated." Her gaze swept over the Cathair officers, lingering on Vurix. "Your distress signal spoke of a defensive alliance, a coalition. You are facing a superior, aggressive force. Do you intend to stand and fight, or do you intend to scatter?" It was a challenge, laid bare and undeniable. Vurix felt the weight of his command, the fate of his species, resting on his shoulders. He thought of the fleeing Iskar, of the countless worlds that had fallen to that siloed hegemony. The humans had just demonstrated a power that dwarfed anything the Coalition could muster. They were a wild card, a terrifying, potent force unleashed. "We intend to fight." Verix declared, his voice firm, though his heart hammered against his ribs. But our resources are depleted. Our allies, they are not as unified as we hoped. We called for help. We are desperate. Thorn's expression remained unreadable. Desperation can be a powerful motivator. We are here to assist. But understand this, Commander Verix. Our involvement comes with terms. Terms that may not be palatable to your coalition. We do not engage in petty skirmishes or political maneuvering. We deal with threats, and the Xylos hegemony is a threat. Terms? Cather repeated, a hint of suspicion in his voice. What terms? What do you ask in return for such power? Thorn paused, and for the first time, a hint of something resembling grim satisfaction touched her lips. We require full strategic autonomy in any engaged theater. We demand unhindered access to all intelligence regarding the Xylos hegemony. And most importantly, her gaze locked onto Verix, a cold, unblinking intensity. You must understand that when we engage to asterisk and asterisk the threat. Permanently. There will be no half measures, no diplomatic retreats. We do not fight wars to a stalemate. We fight to win. Verix felt a tremor of both hope and profound unease. The humans fought to win. But what did win mean to a species capable of collapsing space-time? What would be the cost of such a victory? He looked at Cather, then at the terrified faces of his crew. Their options were annihilation or an alliance with something that might be even more dangerous than their enemy. The choice, stark and horrifying, was clear. Agreed, Verix said, his voice barely a whisper, but firm with the terrible resolve of a commander making an irreversible decision. We agree to your terms, Commander Thorn. Show us how you win. Thorn's eyes held Verix's gaze for a long moment, a silent assessment passing between them. The hewn commander's lips twitched, almost imperceptibly. Very well, Commander Verix. Prepare your fleet for a strategic redeployment. We will require full access to your astrogation charts, tactical analyses, and any intelligence on Xylos troop movements and logistical hubs. Your data will be critical for our planning. Cather stiffened. Redeployment. Commander, our primary defensive line is here. Our people. Your primary defensive line just crumbled. Thorn interjected, her voice still calm, but with an edge of steel. And your people are currently facing extinction. Our strategy will leverage your existing assets, not waste them on a futile holding action. We will consolidate forces where they can be effective, not where they can be annihilated. Verix raised a hand, silencing Cather. He understood. The humans weren't here to simply bolster their defenses. They were here to reshape the battlefield entirely. It was a bitter pill, but the alternative was death. We will comply, Commander Thorn. All data will be transferred to your vessel immediately. What is your immediate objective? Our immediate objective, Thorn replied, a subtle shift in her expression that spoke of grim determination, is to sever the Xylos logistical spine. They rely on predictable warplanes and established supply depots. We will disrupt them. The asterisk Steel Serpent asterisk's bridge buzzed with a mix of trepidation and a strange, nascent hope. They had been fighting a losing battle, a war of attrition against an overwhelming force. Now, an entirely unknown variable had entered the equation, one that promised not just defense, but offensive action on a scale they couldn't comprehend. Within hours, the asterisk Vanguard asterisk began receiving torrents of data from the Coalition. Verix watched from his command chair as Cather's team worked frantically, beaming everything they had on that Xylos hegemony. Their entire intelligence archive, built over cycles of conflict and espionage, was now in the hands of the Deathworlders. Commander Thorn is requesting direct comms, Commander, Cather announced, his voice tight. Verix nodded, a knot forming in his stomach. The true implications of this alliance were only now beginning to set in. They had invited an apex predator into their war. Thorn's face reappeared on the view screen. Commander Vurix, our analysis of your data is complete. Your intelligence is sufficient. We have identified several critical Azylos jump gates and staging areas deep within their occupied territory. These are vulnerabilities. Deep within their territory. Vurix echoed, his scales prickling. Commander, no coalition force has ever penetrated that far. It would be a suicide mission. Their defenses there are impenetrable. Impenetrable is a relative term, Commander, Thorn replied, her gaze unwavering. We will be inserting a strike force. Not your fleet. Our fleet. Vurix blinked. Your fleet. But Commander, we only detected the asterisk Vanguard asterisk. A ghost of a smile touched Thorn's lips, chilling Vurix more than any threat. The asterisk Vanguard asterisk is merely the scout, Commander. The spearhead. We needed to assess the true nature of your threat and the disposition of Azylos forces before committing our full assets. Our fleet is not a collection of individual vessels. It is a single, integrated platform. The asterisk Vanguard asterisk is merely one module. A sudden, earth-shattering tremor rocked the asterisk Steel Serpent asterisk. Alarms blared anew, not from enemy fire, but from an energy surge of unimaginable magnitude. On the main view screen, the dark, smooth hull of the asterisk Vanguard asterisk began to subtly shift, to expand. What Vurix had thought was a complete ship was merely a fraction of something far, far larger. From beneath the asterisk Vanguard asterisk's sleek exterior, massive sections unfolded, revealing internal structures that glowed with an eerie blue light. More sections warped into existence from seemingly nothing, pulling in vast swaths of emptiness, then solidifying into colossal armored plates. It was like watching a starship being born, or perhaps a god awakening. The single vessel they had seen was merely a single, retracted limb of a leviathan. What is happening? Cthair gasped, pointing a trembling claw at the screen. The asterisk Vanguard asterisk was no longer a ship. It was a sprawling, modular construct, growing exponentially, dwarfing the asterisk Steel Serpent asterisk within moments. Its sheer scale was terrifying. It was a space station, no, more than that, a self-assembling armada, manifesting from a single point. This is our full asset, Commander Vurix. Thorn's voice resonated with a new, subtle power. This is how we win. The ship, or rather, the self-assembling platform, continued its silent, horrifying metamorphosis. It was a weapon of unthinkable magnitude, a silent testament to the unpredictability of the Deathworlders. The true extent of their power, and the true cost of their assistance, was only just beginning to reveal itself. The monstrous transformation continued, a silent ballet of impossible engineering. What began as the sleek asterisk Vanguard asterisk now stretched for kilometers, its dark, seamless hull segments blossoming outwards, revealing internal structures that hummed with restrained power. It was a vast, self-contained ecosystem of destruction, a mechanical entity of unfathomable purpose. Pulsating blue conduits, larger than the asterisk Steel Serpent asterisk, snaked across its emerging surface. Massive, recessed apertures, clearly weapon ports of some alien design, cycled through active signatures, their silent hum vibrating through the very deck plating of Vurix's ship. This is a single vessel. Vurix breathed, his voice a raw whisper of disbelief. He had commanded fleets, witnessed orbital bombardments, but this was beyond anything he had ever conceived. It was a mobile fortress, a sentient armory, a asterisk Death Star asterisk capable of warp travel. Thorn's face, projected large on the view screen, held a strange, almost serene confidence. It is the asterisk Arbiter asterisk, Commander Vurix. Our primary strategic platform. The asterisk Vanguard asterisk is merely its bridge module, capable of independent deployment for reconnaissance and initial engagement. Once sufficient intelligence is gathered, the full platform activates. Cthair stumbled backward, his hand clamping over his mouth in a gesture of profound shock. The Arbiter *. It's a legend. A myth whispered among the older races, a theoretical construct of a weapon so vast and terrible it defies comprehension. They say it could crack a planet, extinguish a star. Hyperbole, perhaps, Thorn said, her voice devoid of emotion. But the underlying principles are sound. It is designed to prosecute and conclude conflicts with maximum efficiency. Its purpose is to deliver overwhelming force directly to the heart of the enemy. The Xylos hegemony will find their impenetrable defenses quite permeable. Vurix felt a shiver of dread, cold and sharp, despite the rising hope. They had been saved from one monstrous threat, only to invite another, potentially even more terrifying, into their sphere. He imagined the Arbiter * turning its incomprehensible power on a coalition world, on his own people, should their alliance ever falter. The thought was paralyzing. Its primary targeting systems are locking onto the Xylos jump gates you identified, Thorn continued, oblivious to Vurix's internal turmoil. We will initiate the offensive. Your fleet is to maintain a defensive perimeter around your system, engage any Xylos stragglers, and provide real-time intelligence updates on any remaining enemy movements. Do not interfere with our operations. Do not approach the active engagement zones without explicit instruction. The cold, hard terms of their alliance slammed into Vurix with renewed force. They were not partners. They were auxiliaries, observers. They were allowed to live, to witness the terrifying spectacle of human warfare, but not to participate in its true horror. A series of internal light sequences rippled across the Arbiter*'s expanding hull, indicating system activation. The sheer energy radiating from the colossal vessel made the Steel Serpent*'s own systems whine in protest. On the holographic display, the identified Xylos jump gates, hundreds of light years away, began to glow with targeting locks from the Arbiter*. Prepare for jump sequence, Thorn announced, her voice echoing with the finality of a death knell. Our first strike will disable their primary logistical hubs in the Proxima and Orion sectors. Once those gates are offline, the Xylos supply lines will collapse, isolating their frontline forces. Vurix watched in stunned silence as the Arbiter*, now fully formed, a geometric nightmare of dark metal and pulsating blue light, began to generate its warp field. It was not a conventional warp bubble. It was a tearing of the fabric of space-time, a wound in reality itself. The stars outside the Steel Serpent*'s viewscreen smeared, then twisted into a kaleidoscopic vortex. With a silent, shuddering lurch that rattled the Steel Serpent** to its core, the Arbiter** vanished. No trail, no explosive wake, just a gaping void where the colossal vessel had been moments before. It was gone, on its way to deliver judgment to that Xylos hegemony. The bridge of the Steel Serpent** was silent, save for the hum of the ship's systems and the ragged breathing of its crew. They had called for help from Deathworlders. They had shown up with a lethal vessel. And now, the true war was about to begin. Vurix felt a profound sense of isolation. The fate of the galaxy now rested on the capabilities of a species that reveled in total victory, and understood destruction on a scale that made even the Xylos hegemony seem quaint. The price of their survival remained to be seen. Days turned into a blur of frantic activity and unnerving silence on the Steel Serpent*. The coalition fleet, stunned by the Arbiter*'s abrupt, terrifying departure, struggled to re-establish their defensive posture, their communications channels a static-laden mess of fear and uncertainty. Vurix, however, held firm to Thorn's instructions, ordering his vessels to remain on high alert, but to stand down from any offensive actions. The psychological impact of the Arbiter*'s appearance and disappearance was profound. The Xylos, usually arrogant in their overwhelming numbers, were now clearly on the back foot. Their remaining forces, still in system, were erratic, their maneuvers betraying confusion and panic. Then the reports started coming in. Not from the Arbiter directly, but from long-range observation posts, from deep space probes launched by the Coalition, and even from desperate, garbled Oxylos distress calls that their decryption specialists managed to intercept. Commander, Proxima Sector jump gate. It's gone. Cather burst onto the bridge, his scales flushed with a mix of horror and exhilaration. Not just offline. Commander, gone asterisk. Sensors indicate a localized singularity, contained and then dispersed. No residual energy signature, no debris. Just empty space where a major Azylos logistical hub used to be. Vurix felt a cold knot tighten in his gut. Dispersed. The efficiency of it was horrifying. A single weapon, the Arbiter was not just disabling jump gates. It was utterly erasing them from existence. Hours later, another report, equally unbelievable. Orion Sector, Commander, same signature. The main Azylos staging area, gone asterisk. Their fleet must have been mid-transit. The casualties, unimaginable. The bridge crew, once despondent, now watched the unfolding events with a morbid fascination. The Azylos, a force they had considered invincible, were being systematically dismantled. The human victory was brutal, efficient, and utterly merciless. There were no pitched battles, no glorious last stands, just silent annihilation. Vurix found himself pacing the bridge, a creature of action stifled by the very efficiency of his new terrifying allies. He tried to imagine the Azylos' perspective, their commanders watching their most secure installations vanish, their supply lines dissolving into nothingness. The psychological warfare was as devastating as the physical. A ping from the comm station. Cather answered it, his scales shifting in confusion. It's Commander Thorn, Commander. A direct broadcast. It's visual. Thorn's face filled the view screen once more. This time, there was a subtle change. A hint of grim satisfaction, perhaps even weariness, in her eyes. The background behind her was a sterile, featureless gray, confirming she was still aboard the Arbiter wherever it was. Commander Vurix, Thorn's voice was as steady as ever. The primary phase of the offensive is complete. Proxima and Orion jump gates are neutralized. Azylos hegemony forces are now effectively cut off from resupply and reinforcement from their core worlds. Their operational capacity is severely degraded. Degraded is an understatement, Commander Thorn. Vurix replied, his voice still tinged with awe. You have crippled them. What is the next phase? The next phase is decisive engagement with their isolated frontline forces, Thorn stated, her expression hardening. We will systematically target their remaining active fleets and ground installations within your coalition space. We will remove their capacity to wage war, permanently. And what of civilian populations? Vurix asked, his voice betraying his deep-seated concern. That Azylos were brutal, but even they adhered to some semblance of accepted rules of engagement, avoiding direct, indiscriminate civilian slaughter, at least on a planetary scale, for fear of total societal collapse. Thorn's gaze met his, cold and unyielding. Civilian casualties are a regrettable but unavoidable consequence of total warfare, Commander. Our objective is to end this conflict, not prolong it. We will minimize non-combatant exposure where feasible, but our priority remains the complete eradication of the Azylos military threat. We do not engage in lengthy sieges or occupation. We neutralize. The chilling word neutralize hung in the air, a silent echo of the collapse of Azylos ships. Vurix felt a tremor of revulsion. This was the cost. This was the price of human help. That Azylos would be broken, yes, but at what human cost? Not human cost, but the cost to the galaxy's morality, to the very concept of war itself. The Deathworlders had arrived, and they brought with them a solution more brutal than the problem. The next few cycles were a terrifying testament to human efficiency. The coalition forces, under Varix's reluctant command, could only watch the silent, devastating dance of the Arbiter asterisk. It would appear in a system, a dark, growing silhouette against the stars, and then the Tylos would simply cease to exist. There were no grand space battles, no heroic charges, just the Arbiter asterisk's ominous presence, followed by radio silence from entire Exilos fleets and planetary garrisons. They're not even bombarding planets, Cthulhu whispered one cycle, his face pale as he watched a distant Xylos-occupied world flicker on the long-range scanners, then vanish. They're just collapsing them. Entire worlds becoming singularities, then dispersing. Their populations gone. Varix felt a cold dread settle deep in his bones. That Exilos were a brutal empire. Yes, but even they understood conquest, occupation, the subjugation of populations. This was not conquest. This was extermination, a surgical removal of a species from the galactic tapestry. The sheer, uncompromising finality of it was soul-crushing. Thorne's occasional broadcasts were chillingly succinct. Xylos Fleet Group Beta 7 neutralized in the Kepler 186 system. Planetary infrastructure deemed a threat. Deactivated. Or, Supply Hub Gamma 9, along with its defensive armada, purged. Threat eliminated. The term purged became synonymous with the Arbiter operations. It was a cleansing fire, consuming all in its path. The fear among the coalition species was palpable. They had begged for help, and the humans had delivered, but the cost, the sheer moral weight of this victory, was immense. Whispers spread through the ranks. Were the Deathworlders more dangerous than the Hylos? Commander, Cthulhu said one somber cycle, entering Varix's private ready room. Our scouts report Exilos defectors. Small vessels, mostly civilian transports, fleeing their territories. They're broadcasting pleas for asylum. They claim the hegemony is in total collapse, that their core worlds are falling. Varix rubbed his temples. Asylum. From whom are they seeking asylum? Cthulhu. From the Arbiter asterisk. They're desperate, Commander, Cthulhu insisted. They speak of a new terror, unlike anything the hegemony ever inflicted. They call it the Great Silence. The Exilos, for all their cruelty, never wiped out entire civilian populations en masse. This is different. The Great Silence. Varix closed his eyes. It was an apt description. The human method of warfare left no screaming, no explosions, no lingering debris. Just silence. And emptiness. A priority alert pinged from the comm station. Cthulhu opened the channel, and Thorne's face appeared, her eyes holding an unnerving, almost distant, satisfaction. Commander Varix, she began, her voice calm, devoid of any discernible emotion. The Exilos hegemony is no longer a viable threat. Their military command structure is shattered, their logistical network is destroyed, and their core systems have been rendered inert. We estimate 98% operational capacity neutralized. The conflict, from our perspective, is concluded. Varix stared, concluded, just like that. The war that had ravaged the galaxy for cycles, the war that had threatened to extinguish his people, was over. But the victory felt hollow, tinged with a profound sense of loss. What happens now, Commander Thorne? Varix asked, the question heavy with unspoken fears. The Exilos. Are they truly gone? Thorne's eyes seemed to glitter for a moment. As a galactic power, yes. Their capacity for aggression has been permanently removed. We have fulfilled our agreement, Commander. The threat is eliminated. The Arbiter will now disengage and return to human space. And the terms, Commander, Cathair interjected, his voice tight with suspicion. You requested full strategic autonomy, intelligence, and that you fight to win. You have done all that. But what of our asterisk terms? What is the cost of this? Assistance. Thorn paused, and for the first time, a genuine, if fleeting, smile touched her lips. It was a predator's smile, devoid of warmth. The cost, Commander Cathair, is simple. You now understand what happens when the Human Federation is called upon for help. You understand the extent of our capabilities. And you understand that we have no tolerance for prolonged conflict or continued threats to galactic stability. Consider this a demonstration. A very clear and undeniable demonstration. The message was clear. The humans had delivered them from annihilation, but they had also delivered a warning. A chilling, brutal warning that resonated with the history of the Deathworlders. They solved problems. Permanently. The galaxy now knew the true meaning of humanity F***. Yeah. It meant total victory. No matter the cost, no matter the method. The galaxy had been saved, but it was a changed galaxy, forever marked by the silent, terrifying efficiency of the Arbiter. The Arbiter disengaged, the vast, modular vessel retracting into its smaller Vanguard configuration with the same impossible grace it had exhibited upon arrival. Then, with another silent, violent tearing of space-time, it vanished, leaving behind only the cold, empty void and the terrified, bewildered coalition fleet. The war was over. That Xylos hegemony, for centuries a galactic terror, was a silent, fragmented memory. Vurix stood on the Steel Serpent bridge, the silence deafening after cycles of perpetual alarms and distant bombardments. His crew, alive but shaken, began the laborious process of repairs, their movements slow, almost mechanical. The relief of survival was profound, but it was overshadowed by a chilling realization. They had been saved, but they had also been thoroughly, irrevocably judged. Cathair approached Vurix, his scales dull with exhaustion. Commander, reports are coming in from allied worlds. That Xylos remnants are fleeing, scattering into uncharted space. Many are surrendering to coalition forces. They are broken. They are terrified. And they speak of the Great Silence. Vurix nodded, his gaze distant. That Xylos were a blight, Cathair. But their destruction. It feels like a wound in the galaxy itself. What have we unleashed? They saved us, Commander, Cathair said, his voice quiet. They saved our people. At what cost to our souls? Vurix countered, turning to face the vast emptiness where the Arbiter had been. The humans have shown us a new kind of war, Cathair. One without mercy, without quarter. Total annihilation, delivered with surgical precision. They fight not to conquer, but to erase. News of the Arbiter campaign spread like wildfire through the galaxy. The coalition, once a desperate alliance on the brink of collapse, found itself elevated to an unexpected prominence. Other species, previously hesitant or outright hostile, now approached with deference, seeking alliances, offering resources. The galaxy knew who the coalition's patrons were, and no one dared to cross them. The Deathworlders had made their statement, not with treaties or diplomatic overtures, but with overwhelming, silent force. Vurix, however, found little solace in this newfound respect. He spent his days in endless strategy meetings, coordinating the mop-up operations against the broken Thyla's remnants, rebuilding the shattered infrastructure of coalition worlds. But his nights were haunted by the image of collapsing ships, of vanishing planets, of Thorn's cold, calculating gaze. Months later, with the last vestiges of Actilo's resistance crushed and an uneasy peace settling over the ravaged sectors, a single, unencrypted message arrived on a secure coalition channel. It was a brief, concise text message from the Human Federation. Asterisk to the Coalition. Acknowledging successful conclusion of conflict. Our terms remain. Galactic stability is paramount. Further threats will be met with commensurate force. Do not call unless truly necessary. The price remains high. Asterisk. It was not a threat, not overtly, but it was a stark reminder. The humans had drawn a line in the cosmic sand. They had demonstrated their power, their willingness to use it without hesitation or remorse. The galaxy was safe from the Akylos, but it was now under a new, silent, and infinitely more terrifying oversight. The Deathworlders had been called, and they had answered with a lethal vessel, leaving behind a legacy of fear and a chilling understanding of ultimate power. The galaxy would never be the same.